Alright guys, my name is Tom Lawrence and I'm from highlyeffectiveleader.com. There are hundreds of books, training courses and online material that teach us how to be a leader. Most of them are good and teach the right things, but I've seen very few that teach us how to lead, grow and increase our influence. I want to change that through highlyeffectiveleader.com. So I provide articles and resources to people who can lead, grow, and influence. I want to help people who are not in leadership positions, but are aspiring to become leaders. I want to help current managers who want to take the next step and become leaders. And I want to help senior leaders enhance their leadership skills. So welcome to my webinar entitled Leadership and Personal Growth. First of all, I want to discuss empowerment and why you are empowered to lead and to grow. Empowering a person recognizes our belief in that person. Do you believe in yourself? I am empowering you because I believe in you. For years, the term empowerment was not used correctly. A lot of people use the term empowerment as a way of disguising delegation, which is very selfish. I have the confidence that you can watch this webinar and take action on the leadership and personal growth principles that I will be sharing. Empowerment is a term that is thrown around a lot when it comes to corporate language, especially when reading a company's vision and values on posters around the office. I want this webinar to bring empowerment to life for you, instead of just a word on a poster. I want you to feel empowered to have the autonomy and the power to achieve far more than you could ever imagine. I believe that you can achieve and build a life that you can be so proud of. Empowering a person is a decision. Believing in a person is a decision. With that decision, we can build a strong relationship and build trust with that person. From building that trust and relationship, the person can then go on and do the same by empowering others. Empowering other people that we work with and depend on to get the job done can be difficult. You may be thinking, if I don't know the person, how can I empower them and build trust? There we have built a condition where we are judging a person too early, which is pretty selfish on our part. If we take away that condition, it is very easy to empower a person and over time build a relationship and trust with them. We need to clear our minds of any prejudgment and remain open-minded. There is a time in my life where someone I didn't know very well empowered me. He didn't have any condition on his mind or prejudgment that I couldn't be trusted, or he couldn't build a relationship with me. I would like to share this story. I was 23 years old in 2006, and I was working in Liverpool in the United Kingdom for their train operating company. I had been there for about a year as an engineer. However, I felt stuck because I couldn't see a way of progressing in my career unless I went to university and got a degree. How was I going to afford that? It would have been very difficult for me to get a student loan because I was working full time. And where would I find the time to do it too? It was suggested to me that I ask the engineering director if she would sponsor me to do a part-time engineering degree at Liverpool University. After I built up the courage, this is exactly what I did. Within a few minutes of conversation with her, I was told no. I needed a business case, whatever that was, to be sponsored. So I asked for help with the business case, but nobody in the engineering department knew what one was, never mind how to put one together. In the end, I very reluctantly scrapped the idea of going to university and just accepted that I would be where I was for the rest of my career. Until about a month later, and we had a new engineering director, right out of the blue. Within his first week as the new director, he had a one-to-one with me. His first question was, "What's your ambition, Tom?" I answered, "To be sitting where you are, in your position, and asking a young person the exact same question." And then he said, "So how are you going to get into my seat and my position?" And I said, I want to go to university and get my engineering degree. He automatically thought I had a degree and was surprised when he found out I didn't. The conversation went on, and then I went back to work. The next day, I was told by him that I would be going to university in September to complete a part-time engineering degree. I couldn't believe it. Through asking me just two simple questions, he had made the decision to empower me and to go get my degree. Even better was, he empowered me to become a project engineer and take on far more responsibility. He believed in me, and he knew I could do it. But I was a bit skeptical myself. All this happened the day after I'd met him. He didn't know me, didn't have any time to build trust or build a relationship. He didn't prejudge or have any condition whatsoever. He took a chance and empowered me. That was one of the biggest turning points in my life, and is probably the reason I am presenting this webinar right now. I thought our conversation was just a routine getting to know you catch up. I only mentioned the degree almost in laughing, really. I was not expecting him to go through with it. He didn't even ask me for a business case, whatever that is. He lit a fire in me, and I hope I can light the same fire in you. I started to get a bit nervous as September came around, and I even started to doubt myself. What if I can't do it? Will I get fired if I fail? Am I intelligent enough to do a degree? After a while, I decided to stop the negative self-talk and just go for it. My best friend did a degree in psychology, and he gave me a lot of encouragement. My best friend was another who empowered me and believed in me. My motivation was to do the degree for myself and also for my new engineering director. What is your motivation to grow and become the leader you always wish you had? Negative talk comes from the environments we're in and what the closest people to us are telling us. We believe what they are saying, and we start to tell ourselves the same stories. Why not only listen to ourselves and tell ourselves positive stories that will help us? The feeling I had when I graduated university was unbelievable. I didn't have to surrender to a job for life. I now believed that I have the potential to climb the ladder and push myself. My thoughts were a lot more positive, and things in my life became a lot more positive too. As I am talking about this, I can feel the positivity inside me and coming out as I speak. I hope you feel the same as you listen and watch, and know that you have the same potential too. My story is not trying to convince you to go to university or college. My story is to help you to become more in life. To become more in life, your thoughts must change. Change is inevitable. It is a fact of life that things change. The only things we can really change is ourselves. And if you want to create a better future in your life and career, then you must change you now. So, action steps that I would like you to complete following this first section of the webinar. Number one is work on your thinking. If you have negative thoughts, work on changing them to positive. They can be life-changing. And number two, start thinking now. What is it you need to change about yourself to create the future that you want? I really hope you have enjoyed this section of the webinar and will implement these action steps and what you have learned. In the next section of this webinar, I want to discuss in more detail your own personal growth and what it means to grow ourselves. Now, your personal growth starts with you, but will involve others. Leaders are there to show others the way. In your team, that should be your boss or your line manager. But a lot of the time, it is not. So who else is going to show others the way? For you to grow in your leadership, then you need to lift others up and show them the way. You don't have to be privileged to become more in life. You can start from anywhere and still become a highly effective leader. What would the world be like without great people and great leaders? Put it this way, the world would be a very different place. The only thing stopping you from becoming one of those great people and a great leader is you. There is only you who can take action. The only person who can learn from your failures and mistakes is you. So take notice. Keep in mind, a mistake or a failure is not negative. If you learn from it, then it is a positive next step towards your success. A lot of people have difficulty seeing mistakes and failures that way, but if you practice thinking this way and try to keep this frame of mind for as long as possible, then learning from failure will become a lot easier. You may not see yourself as a leader when you're in your current position in your workplace, but believe me, you can develop into a leader at any stage of your career. Even though you may not have any direct reports or the title of supervisor, team leader, or manager, you are in a position to lead. Developing yourself, working on yourself, and influencing and developing others is what leadership is all about. At the moment, even if you are at a team member level, you can help and develop the other members of your team and influence them in a huge way. The time is now for you to start thinking big and see a much bigger and brighter future for yourself. I am not saying that you need to go to university or take hundreds of training courses. People often use not having a degree or a special qualification as an excuse to remain where they have always been throughout their lives. If you really want a degree, then by all means go for it and use what you learn in this webinar to help you get that degree. However, you can also use this webinar and many others like it to build that brighter future for yourself without a degree. Your personal growth can only come from one person, you. Having that self-belief that you will make it work is an absolute must. Growing and developing yourself is imperative to build that brighter future. Watching this webinar can be the first step in developing yourself and growing. So the next step is to take a chance on yourself. At the beginning of my career, I thought my role was to just get the work done for the day and go home, and then do it all again the next day. That was a very narrow view of myself and my other team members. I didn't realize that we had a lot more to offer. The boss we had was also very narrow-minded, and I had exactly the same view of him. In fact, he needed more development than we did, as he was in the leadership position. Within most industries throughout the world, people are often given leadership positions or titles, but have zero leadership training or development. How can they be a leader if they haven't had the right training or development? Whether you're a team member or a manager, you can learn from this webinar. At the end of the day, the environment is exactly the same for both, and they're all part of the same teams trying to support each other. The ideas and skills I discuss can be learned from all levels of the team and the organization. Whether you're a member of the team or in a leadership position, the principles I am sharing are relevant. If you want to be recognized in your team, department, organization, and your industry as a leader, then what I share in this webinar must be implemented. No matter where you are in your career at the moment, if you implement these principles and live by them every day, then the more influence you will have. With more influence, you'll have more options, and you will also be offered higher and better positions as you move through your career. Every team member has the potential to influence. When you have influence, you have leadership. Each person in the team can be a leader and make a big difference in their own lives and the lives of others. To increase your leadership, you need to increase your influence. That is all there is to it. Where you work, there are probably a few good teams, and you can have an influence and make an impact on all of them, even if you don't think you can. You can support a number of other teams outside of your department or even your organization. You can support other teams within your industry. They can support you and your team too. It is up to you to decide whether you want to go beyond your team and into the wider organization or industry and make an impact. If you do, then that sends the right message to the leaders who are already making an impact. They will see you as one of them. Making an impact beyond your own team will not only increase your influence, it will also increase your contribution as a member of your industry. Making the decision to want to accept more responsibility, volunteer for extra, be noticed by leaders inside and outside of your organization will definitely improve the impact you are already making. Other people will start to notice you and want to know who you are and what you are doing. By doing this, you are demonstrating to more and more people that you are a leader with lots of potential. You will gain respect from highly influential people, and your name will be known throughout your organization and beyond, which can be very beneficial for you later on in your career. If you make the decision not to go beyond your team and you don't want to make a bigger impact, then you risk not reaching your full potential and not creating the great life that you deserve. A lot of people just go to work and go home each week and wait for the highlight of the month when they get paid. If you go out of your way to deliberately not make an impact or try your best not to be noticed, then guess what? You will be noticed, but for the wrong reasons. I have a lot of experience of working with people who live like this. They do everything they can to disrupt the team and the job. The more they do this, then the less influence they have. They get more frustrated each day, and they are the people who create the blame cultures within the organization. It is all a decision at the end of the day. When you make your decision, just realize that the decision you make eventually makes you and your reputation. Add value to your team, and you will become more valuable to the team. So, action steps that I would like you to complete following this section of the webinar. Number 1, embrace your failures and make sure you learn from them. And number 2, help others to embrace their failures too, so they can learn from them. I really hope you've enjoyed this section of the webinar and will implement these action steps and what you've learned. In the final section of this webinar, I want to discuss working on yourself with purpose. Now, don't wait for someone to help you to work on yourself. Only you can work on yourself. You cannot grow by accident. You can only grow on purpose. You'll have heard the term develop yourself before. People you know or who you work with have probably said that you need to develop yourself in some area. But what does develop yourself actually mean? It means work on yourself with purpose. It took me a while to figure out that you cannot develop or work on yourself accidentally. It has to be with purpose. Have a think of where you are in your career and life today. How did you get there? Did you plan to be where you are, or did it just kind of happen? The reason I ask these questions is because to work on yourself with purpose and to grow, we need a plan of action. That doesn't mean create a plan and then stick it in the drawer. It means create a plan that we must be extremely disciplined in acting on. If we don't work to a plan, then within the next 5 years, you will more than likely be exactly where you are now. Or you might be somewhere else, and who knows where that will be. When I told the story earlier about my company paying for me to go to university, before that, I didn't really have a plan for growth. But my engineering director believed in me and wouldn't let me go to university unless I had a plan of action for the next 5 years. So, with help from other team members, I put a plan together and I stuck to it rigorously. When I started taking action on my plan, there were a lot of doors that opened for me. I had a 4-year degree to work on part-time. I joined an engineering graduate scheme where I would do placements to gain more experience. I went on courses to help me gain more qualifications, and they would help me in my current and future roles in the industry. I started reading personal growth books and leadership books every single day. Working on myself with purpose really did help me attract things into my life too. I was able to do things that I never thought I would ever do. If you were to do the same, then other leaders in your organization will notice this. They will see that you are working on yourself with purpose. They will start to realize that you are changing and striving to become a highly effective leader. They will start to talk to each other about you and work out ways to utilize your new skills and attitude for the better. So expect more responsibility, even if you don't ask for it. The opportunities will start to come to you, and the reason for this is because you are acting on your plan, not because you have created a plan and put it in the drawer. Obviously, the plan will adjust and be changed from time to time, but don't worry about that. What is important is that you are constantly working on the plan and on yourself with purpose. You do this by acting on your plan. If something happens at a time when you didn't expect it, don't worry, it has happened. Just keep focused on your plan. For example, let's assume that you are now at a level of excellence and you're exactly where you need to be according to your personal growth plan. The next steps in your plan is to move into a promotion within the company, and for that you need to be computer literate for the role. However, at the moment, you don't quite have the skills that are required for the job, so you are not fully prepared to apply for the role when it becomes available in the future. It is highly likely that someone else will be computer literate and has what is required to do the job that you want. This is because you have not added computer skills to your plan. If you only start working on skills when you are required to, for example for a job, then you are not working on yourself with purpose. If you know that at some stage you are going to need to be computer literate for the future roles that you want, then you need to work on those skills with purpose. You need to be working on yourself much sooner. This way, you'll be fully prepared before you are required to. Otherwise, you are just being hopeful. Being hopeful is not preparation. But you do need to be hopeful to prepare. Preparation within your plan is part of practicing your leadership. One of the leadership principles that I practice is to plan and then act on that plan. If others see you do this, then they will start to follow you and follow in your footsteps and develop their own plans. This is you leading by example. Another principle that we must practice when working on ourselves with purpose is sacrifice. I struggled with sacrifice for many years. In fact, it is the leadership principle that I still need to work the hardest on. With your plan, you have a vision for the future. That could be for the next 5 years or even longer. To make that vision a reality, you need to make some sacrifices. In order for you to make those sacrifices, you need to believe very strongly in your vision and have the desire to make it a reality. If you don't make the sacrifices required to make your vision a reality, then you will stay exactly where you are. Or you might end up somewhere else, and whatever that may be. An example of sacrifice is giving up part of your social life to help your future. Are you willing to do that? So, if you choose to work on your skills with purpose, you will be fully prepared for the roles you want in the future that require those skills. An example of this would be to enroll in courses, shadow a person who has particular skills, or read books on the subject. What you must never do is find an excuse of why you don't have the skills that you need. When it comes to your plan, there are no such things as excuses or blame. You are the only person that controls your plan, so you are the only person who can make it work or not. How many excuses do you make a day? I work on myself with purpose every single day, and you can too. How I do this is to have one daily goal that I want to work on with purpose. I then choose the most important things that are required every single day to reach my daily goal, and I do them until I reach that goal. The goal doesn't have to be huge, but it does need to be important so that it will keep you focused. By focusing on working on yourself and acting on your plan with purpose, that is how you develop. Once you've reached your daily goal, you must then develop your goal for the next day and figure out what you need to do to reach that goal. Please ensure that this is not a to-do list. It is a daily action plan that is designed for you to work on yourself with purpose. An example of one of my daily action plans is to teach at least one person about leadership, share my leadership content on my website and social media, write about my day and how I led my people, or read part of a leadership book or blog. So, what are you going to do today so that tomorrow you won't have to? That is the mentality of a leader who has a growth mindset. And I believe that you can have this mentality. But the question is, do you believe in yourself? So, action steps that I would like you to complete following this final section of the webinar. Number 1, figure out what your vision for the future is. Number 2, develop your action plan for the future that will enable you to work on yourself based on your vision. Number 3, develop your daily goals that feed into your action plan. Number 4, focus on your daily goals and action plan. And number 5, read leadership books, blogs, watch leadership videos as part of your personal growth and develop your leader's mindset. And 6, and most importantly, do not give up. Thank you for watching this webinar on leadership and personal growth. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you implement the actions that we've discussed in each section. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep learning more strategies on leadership, personal growth, and influence that will benefit you in both your personal and professional life. Connect with me on my other social media channels also to keep in contact and up to date on what I'm doing. And please visit my website, highlyeffectiveleader.com, to learn even more valuable strategies in the area of leadership, personal growth, and how you can increase your influence. Head over to Amazon for my brand new book, Manager to Leader, that I released on January the 31st, 2021. You will uncover the difference between management and leadership and how to go beyond your position of manager to leader. Please share what you've learned in this webinar, and together, let's create a world of highly effective leaders. I've been Tom Lawrence, and it's been an absolute privilege. See you sometime in the future.